What up, bro?
My guy.
Good.
Yes. How are you, bro?
How you doing,
Good, brother. Good. What's the deal?
bro? We're chilling. We are
Yeah.
chilling. I
Yeah.
already got. I mean, what is it? It's 8:45 now. Been up for two and a half hours.
Yeah.
Getting it in, bro. Getting it
Oh,
in.
you're an animal, bro. So where'd you moved to Jacksonville?
We're in Jacksonville, Florida now. Finally got the apartment, got the furniture, all that stuff. Now it's time to, get the routine down.
For sure, brother.
Figure out where everything is. You know how it is. I mean, it's
Yeah.
nomad lifestyle, but trying
For
to
sure,
integrate,
brother.
trying to become a homebody, have some roots now. So
For sure, for sure. No, man, that's one thing I always said. Like, I mean, you know, uh, there's so much chaos out in the world, so you gotta embrace home. And it's one thing I always try to tell younger players. It's like I remember when I was in Germany. I think it
yeah,
was 1 or 2 summers ago. Man, I think I stayed in 22 Airbnbs within 2 months, bro.
crazy
And that really affects the emotional game, the mental game, and
for
affects you on
sure.
the field. And then sometimes, especially when you're a player that's not a big player supported by a huge agency, and you don't have clubs paying for things, those clubs don't see behind the scenes, So
Right.
it's
I
it's
mean, that's
interesting.
that's when we talk about professional football. Like people all obviously already think Cristiano Ronaldo,
Yeah,
Lionel Messi, and that's literally like less than 1% of what professional football is. And what I tell people is that it's a hard life.
yeah,
It's a great life. Like
for
you're
sure.
playing soccer, you're doing what you love, but it's hard, bro.
Hmm.
You talk about all the Airbnbs and stuff like that, and like it adds to the story, but at the same time, I mean, all the experiences that you get from it is unbelievable. So it's like it's a hard life,
For sure.
jumping from place to place and not having a home. But I mean, you're not going to get those experiences anywhere else, bro. You're not going to
Yeah.
get that. You're not going to get that in college. You're not going to get
No.
that working in a corporate job.
Hmm.
Um, but I mean, like you said, there is something to be said about like getting roots and chilling out somewhere for a while. So I mean,
Absolutely.
I'm going to try that out now. I've tried out the
Yeah.
nomad lifestyle, so I'm going to try
Yeah.
out the probably staying somewhere for 2 years now. So
For sure. No, just to add on to that, it's like it's funny because you probably had the same thing, especially when you went out to Germany. I mean, you were a bit older when you went out there, but when I first went
hmm
out when I was younger, you're coming out of college and your boys see you traveling Europe, traveling the world,
yeah,
they see
true,
you with your suitcases and they're like, "Yo, you're so lucky, bro. Like you get to travel." And I'm
yeah,
like, "Yeah, bro, it's unreal.
for
Like
sure,
I
yeah,
love traveling and it's such a great thing and I don't regret anything I've done
right,
still to this day. Like I tell everyone, just like you said, man, like I left college freshman year, I said, and I was a clown, man. Like we'll get into it later, but I
yeah,
was a
yeah,
clown, I was trying to impress people with bullshit and I realized, man, like when I went out to Germany when I was 20, you can't be out in the world with your chest out thinking you're a tough guy because you'll get eaten real quick, man. Like
no one,
especially
no
in the
one,
game.
no one knows who you are. I mean,
Exactly.
we were in. I mean, obviously we were in Germany, but we were in France. We were in England, um, traveling, and it's like, people don't care about
Yeah.
you. Like, like,
Exactly.
oh, you
Exactly.
speak, oh, you speak English. Oh, you speak
Yeah.
English. Well, this is France.
Yeah.
Like, okay, cool.
Exactly.
Speak French. Speak French.
Yeah.
Speak German. It's like,
Exactly.
so. I mean, it's also like getting humbled like that creates so much confidence as well.
For sure.
Like like people are afraid of the conflict or like going into a German bakery and them
Hmm.
asking them what they want in German. It's like,
Hmm.
yo, like then when you come back to the US and someone asks you in English, it's like it's
Yeah.
I mean it's easy. Like anything,
For sure.
like it's hard when you're over there, but when you come back, it's so easy. And it's like
For sure.
that's what you need to do in all parts of your life. A hard makes the easy way, like it makes it way easier.
Exactly. No, no, what you just said, it's like it's very tough to like, when you grow up and you have a good family, you have parents who take care of you and you have
Right.
support, you have a lot of friends, parental support, family, and you go out alone on a journey. and you're trying to chase your dream, like you said, man, unfortunately, no one cares about you. No one
Right.
cares about you except the people that are very, very, very close. And that's something I've
Yeah.
really tried to get into in the last year or so. It's also helped me coming to Israel because, when I was in Germany, man, like I was in Germany for 3 years and I'm a pretty friendly guy. I'm very
Yeah.
open and I make friends easily. Bro, I had maybe one or two German friends, one or
Yeah.
two.
Yeah.
And I mean, the rest were American, but like we both know, like to actually integrate into the culture and become a part of the culture, you need to have friends who are
Right.
German or from Israel, from
Yeah.
Sweden. And it was a complete change. After that, I went over to Sweden and, man, I had so many friends. And then Israel, it's
Right.
even more. So it's like, it's interesting, like the journey, how it progresses, and we talk
Yeah,
about
for
it
sure.
football wise, but also relationship wise in terms of developing friendships,
Yeah.
developing new connections. And like we said from the beginning, man, like being able to go to a new culture and like adapt, bro, like actually get out of your comfort zone. You can say get out of your comfort zone. It can be a cliche. It can be a background on your phone, on
Yeah.
your photo, get
Yeah.
out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
But bro, are you actually getting out of your comfort zone? Like, are
Yeah.
are you doing things that are making you uncomfortable? Because, like you said, man, like when you go through those uncomfortable situations, you come back to the comfort, and you're like, man, I'm so far ahead, man.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost it's almost uncomfortable when you become comfortable again. Like
Yeah, exactly.
if you're uncomfortable all the time and you're going to like I mean, what I miss the most is like going out to a bakery or something like that, someone asking
Yeah,
me something in German and me having to figure it out. Like
yeah,
I'm looking for new problems to solve now, like
for sure.
different. And I mean, two things happen when you're uncomfortable, bro. Like you learn something about yourself
Hmm.
both ways, like negative and positive. Like in this situation, I'm not as comfortable as I thought I would be, and also you're like, oh, I'm actually not that bad at it. So
Hmm.
it's the flip of it.
For
And
sure.
then when you're uncomfortable also like we keep saying, like you stretch yourself to the point where now I go back to where I normally am and it's light work. It's light
Hmm.
work. So then when I go back to where I normally am, I have to raise the level and like start challenging myself even more in my comfort zone. So then
Absolutely.
so that I mean we like you said, it's a background on your phone, like don't be in your
Hmm.
comfort zone, but the actual practical part of that is pushing your comfort zone to a new comfort zone. So
For
that's how
sure.
you grow. I mean, that's growth. I mean,
For sure, bro.
like our coach used to talk about someone's ceiling and
Hmm.
like when you get out of that room or whatever,
Hmm.
and then you come back in and you're a little bit too big for that. You need to raise the ceiling now. So
For sure.
now we can grow like a plant, like a dog,
Hmm.
whatever. You need to get bigger room. So
Hmm.
in order to grow, you got to get out of your comfort zone. We always talk about it, but like the practical advice of that is when you get out of your comfort zone, you grow. So you can't come back into the same comfort zone. It doesn't,
Hmm.
you won't fit. So
Absolutely. No, absolutely. And like you said, I mean, I remember I sent you that motivational video the other day, and what you said was really interesting, and it's something that a lot of younger guys should tune into. It's like,
yeah,
yeah, you can watch all these motivational videos, but are you actually applying it to your life? And when you
right.
said that, I was like, man, that's a huge point. Like,
Yeah,
you can watch all this crap, but you're not actually going to ingrain that into your life and transform that motivational video, that
right,
motivational spark into your life unless you
right,
take action on it.
right. I mean, we always
So,
talk about, I mean, we've talked about this a couple of times, like motivation is crap, dude.
yeah,
Like motivation in general, like what we believe as motivation, our society, our world now as motivation is
yeah,
simply like the feeling, the testosterone, the endorphins in your brain.
exactly, exactly.
And what happens when you get punched in the mouth? All that goes away and you get scared.
Mm,
So
mm,
motivation, in my opinion, is like I'm trying to get to a place because I was always on motivational videos.
mm-hmm,
Like every morning,
yeah,
motivational video, let's get after it. But
yep,
now it's like, can I create my own motivation? That can come from like someone in your life that you care about. That could come from, the love of the game. That could
mm-hmm,
come from anything, but it's internal. so you don't need the outside spark. Like
For sure.
Roy Keane always talks about, like, people weren't willing to get up on a Monday when it's cold, rainy out, and he's like, I had to realize that those were the times that I needed to be
For sure.
the best,
For sure.
because no one else is going to want to get up for that.
Hmm.
So creating that spark inside of you, instead of just watching the motivation all the time. So that's why when you
Exactly.
sent me that video, literally, um, you know, I watched like the first 3 minutes of it, and I was like, okay. I mean, what I realized is, like, I need to be even better in quarantine. I need to be even
For
better
sure.
in, like, obviously David Goggins motivates the heck out of me every time I watch him.
Yeah.
I feel like
Animal.
I'm doing nothing. I
Yeah.
feel like I feel like everything I do is his morning routine.
For sure.
So so before he even starts working. So yeah, I watched like 2 minutes of it, and I was like, okay. I mean, I have all the motivation I need. I have all the knowledge I need from that,
Hmm.
and from all that, I realized that I actually don't know that much. Like, if I'm only watching 2 minutes of a video and it's motivating me, I don't know that much, and I've probably
Hmm.
not heard as much as I need to. So I need to be, like, watching more, reading more,
For sure.
studying more. So yeah, that's my new thing. Is like, I heard Eric Thomas talking about being a sniper rather than being a shooter.
Hmm.
Like,
Hmm.
can I see one thing and boom, my life has changed, instead of reading 5 books and then being like, oh, okay, I got, 10, 15 pages of notes, and now
Hmm.
I'm you're shooting. You're not a sniper. You're not
For sure.
efficient. So yeah, that's where I got that from. Is just
Mm.
read one thing, hear one thing, and apply it. And once you've applied
Exactly.
it, then go to something else. But it takes a while to apply something, for sure.
For sure. And just two things on that. It's like, first thing I want to point out is like, you could read as many books. It's the same thing. Like, and it's reading books are fantastic. One of my favorite things to
Yeah,
do. But what I've started doing, like you said, is like, I think like 2 years ago, like in the beginning when I started on this, self-development path kind of journey thing, I was just trying to pound out books on with quantity.
right.
And lately, what I do now is I go chapter by chapter. I take the
Yeah,
notes, just like you said, and I
yeah,
apply those things. I apply
yeah,
those things directly to my life, whether it's in football, whether it's in, coaching clients, whether it's
yeah,
business wise. I apply that right away because, like you
yeah,
said, you can have a lot of information, but if you're not applying it, what good does that information do?
yeah.
And you kind of turn into like, yeah, you're very smart, you got a lot of ideas, and I'm not saying nothing's wrong with it, because it's, you
Right.
gotta at our age, at 20s, 30s, I think you got to build that foundation, get your ideas, get your actions in.
Yeah.
And especially, at our age, we can do a lot, so
Right.
we
Right.
should try to get a lot done. um Without veering too far off the topic, it's like, and also what you said, like things that me and you do, we're on a
Yeah.
similar path, footballers, coaches, trainers, as
Yeah.
well as, trying to do business things,
Yeah.
teaching it to others,
Right.
being able to
Right.
learn concepts, applying it to your life,
Exactly.
but then being able to teach it to others.
Yeah.
That makes
Yeah.
you even more intelligent in the subject, more well versed, and more well rounded.
Yeah.
So
I mean, my fiance told me, basically, because when I was younger, even like 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, I have a lot of knowledge. Like, I have a lot of information, a lot of facts in
for
my
sure.
head, like just some random stuff. Like, we'll be walking down the street, and she's like, "What kind of dog is that?" And I'll be like, "Oh, that's a Pyrenees or something like that." Just know, like, dog breeds. But she's like, "But, like, what are you gonna do with that? Like, you're gonna win the trivia contest? Cool." I mean, but like, but that's why I started talking about, like, practical knowledge. Like, we talked about, like, always on my page, we always talk about, um, practical steps, not this woo stuff, not this, like, give 110%, go all out, all this stuff. We always talk
Yeah.
about it. Go all out.
Yeah.
Give everything you have. It's like, but I mean, what
How
does
am
that
I
look
gonna
like?
apply that bullshit?
What does that look like day to day? What does that look like week to week, month to month, year,
Hmm.
at the end of my goals? Like, what is practical advice? And so
Yeah.
I realized I need to have practical knowledge if I'm going to give practical advice. So, obviously I'm doing everything I'm saying. I've done everything I'm saying, but like even going into other realms of business and all this other stuff, like um, I need to be able to have the knowledge, whether
Hmm.
that's reading books, whether that's watching videos, whether that's mentors, whatever, have the actual knowledge of doing that thing. So, like I said, give 110%, but like, what does that look like in the business aspect? What does that look like in my trainings? If
For
I give
sure.
100, because if I give 110%, I'm working out for, that could look like I'm working out for 3 hours, 4 hours at a time.
Hmm.
If I'm giving my all, but if I shorten that to 30 minutes and I'm giving 110%,
Yeah.
it's probably more quality work. It's probably, you know, it like with the book, it's probably more like substantial. Like I'm gonna be able to carry that into a game rather than two
Hmm.
hours of like bullshit work that I'm gonna be doing in the gym. So it's
Hmm.
like, practical knowledge over general knowledge. We always
For
talk about
sure, bro.
trivia, general knowledge questions. It's like
Yeah.
we don't need general knowledge. We need
Yeah.
specific knowledge.
For sure. No, and I want to point that out to something we've talked about as well, and for the listeners, Mooley and I, we talk every week, we check in with each other,
Yeah.
send WhatsApp voice messages and make sure we're on our grind because
Yeah.
I wanted to touch on one topic, but this is also very important. It's like you gotta have homies who are on the same grind as you.
Yeah.
Like no matter where you're at, like it's important to have a couple homies who are on the same grind as you because if you're not on your grind and they're checking in, it's like, what am I doing? Like just
Yeah. Yeah.
check yourself.
Yeah. Rising tide lifts all ships, bro. I mean,
Yeah.
when you tell me something, like whether first of all, anything you tell me diet wise, I'm like, shit. Like I need to pick it up. And my
Yeah.
fiance sometimes hears it and she's like, yo, why is Rick Fit doing it and you're not doing it? Why are you eating cupcakes, dude? I'm just like,
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, all right. But
Yeah.
like just rising tide lifts all ships, bro. Like, and when you have homies that are doing stuff like you are, then you talk to me about diet. I'm like, oh, I need to do better with diet. But then I'll talk to you about, like, just for example, anything like, oh, I did this workout today, and you're probably like, or you'll be like, oh, maybe I need to like raise my game. So
For sure.
it's like iron sharpens iron.
For sure.
Like people, like I was talking on my page about mutual relationships and stuff like that, and how everyone wants to take nowadays and stuff like that. So it's like,
Yeah. I like
so
that.
it's like, and but also on the flip side, it's like people think that you have to exchange like money for services or something like that. But like
Hmm.
I can like, there's no money being transferred here. But
Hmm.
I give you my information, you give me your information. It's mutual.
For sure.
So I could be killing it with my diet. You could be killing it with your exercise.
Hmm.
You're raising my exercise. I'm raising your diet. We're both getting higher.
Yeah.
It's not like, there's always something someone else can bring to the table. So when
For sure.
people like ask us questions and stuff like that and just always want stuff from us, it's like, hey, you know, maybe, tell more friends. Like little things like that. Tell more friends.
Hmm.
You know, subscribe to the channel. Like some people
Exactly.
ask questions and they're not even subscribed or they're not even following. But it's like, hey, equal giving, or it's not equal giving, it's equal sacrifice. So, you know,
Hmm.
uh, like in money terms, because everyone wants to talk money. But like, say I have 100 grand and you have $5, and you give me your $5. That's all your money. So that's equal sacrifice. I
For
give you my
sure.
knowledge. So
Hmm.
equal, not equal giving, but equal sacrifice.
For sure. No, I think just to touch on that, it's like I remember when I was actually I think I gave this speech at when I was a senior in my high school before I came over to Shattuck St. Mary's, but
Yeah,
I was talking about symbiotic relationships,
yeah,
and basically like in the animal kingdom, it was like we're talking like animals,
yeah, yeah,
like being able to like and people always talk about this all the time. Like I forgot the quote, but it's like if you want to go fast, go alone. I think if you want to go far, go together, something like that.
yeah, yeah,
And just like you said, man, like you gotta have homies who are on the grind and who are, dude. Honestly, it's like I've cut out so many people in my life, like I have, and it's you just have to, man. Like Gary Vee talks about it, and it's a difficult thing to do, but sometimes you just feel relieved. And it's like when you
Yeah.
have a couple homies who are on the grind and who are doing similar things to you, you eliminate the noise.
Yeah.
And you eliminate noise, and you can stay on your grind, on your track, and you see, oh yeah, you know, Moulin's for example, like I like how you're talking about game analysis. I love that. Like that's
Yeah.
unreal and something that needs to be talked about more. So
For
definitely
sure.
keep getting on that. It's unreal,
Bro,
and it's like
bro, a lot, like, so obviously a ton I do on social media is from you. Like, we talk about social media a lot, and I obviously watch your page a ton. But like, one of the things that came up, and this only comes from like me putting out content over and over and over again, exposes some things that, like, you're like, oh, people aren't talking about this. I need to really like
exactly,
zone in on this. You know what I mean?
exactly,
And questions and all that stuff. That's why I stress, like, ask me questions, because it helps me know what people need.
exactly.
So out of
It's like market
nowhere,
research.
right? Exactly. And so obviously, I was talking to someone about this the other day, but obviously, like, I have a lot of skills that I think, in the soccer world, I have a lot of skills that I think I could teach people, right?
For sure.
I didn't realize that no one's teaching video analysis, like, for real, for real. So
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? I need to jump on this because no one's doing it.
Hmm.
I mean, I literally did a webinar the other day. We had 15 people on. I mean, that's good for me to just
Great
say,
stuff.
hey, we're gonna have a webinar. 15 people jump on, and we're doing it. Um, plug. I'm giving away the
Yeah,
replay
plug it, bro.
tonight. Tonight, I'm giving away the replay. Um, link in the description. But no, bro. I mean, I learned that you would not have known that if you don't put in the work. Like, I would not have figured that out if I hadn't been posting 3 times a day, posting on my story, getting those interactions, like you told me to do, and that I see
Sure.
you doing. So yeah, I mean, that would not have happened if we didn't have, somewhat of like a symbiotic relationship, you know?
Exactly. No, I appreciate that. And I wanted a thing that I didn't touch on before. I really want to touch on relating it to football. Like we were talking before about books and like, or motivational videos, being able to take that and apply it to life.
Yeah,
And for me, it's the same thing. It's the same thing with football. Like, and you talk about this a lot. We talk about this together. Are the drills that you're doing now, the drills that you're doing in your training sessions, are they directly applicable to your game or are they just some sexy shit?
right.
And okay, so there's like two sides to that coin. And then
Yeah,
the other side to that coin, like we talked about, if you're a younger kid and you're just starting the game, like you're just starting to play the game, and I love how you talked about this with Brody, you know,
yeah.
being able to enjoy the game and love the game at a young age, that's the most important. That's the most
Hmm.
important because I get so many questions now. I know you talk about it, and I want to cover it as more as well. Like how to be confident when game time comes,
Yeah,
and obviously the biggest thing is to be ready for that opportunity. But also, if you're like a 18, 19-year old kid and you kind of like do a tune back into your younger ages when you start playing the game, you know.
yeah,
I mean, I know we both start at a young age, but if you're, starting a game at, 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever, how did you,
yeah,
I always tell people, try to tune in to why you started the game. And
yeah,
you talk about it, like find that why. Find the
yeah,
real why. The
yeah.
real why. No, 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 not just because it's fun, not because I love it.
Right,
No,
right,
find the real why.
right.
For me, it's being able to problem solve on the pitch
Yeah, I
and
love
being
that.
able
Yeah.
to just give all you got. It's like, dude,
Yeah.
when you're done with a 90-minute match, like, dude, I remember we said this on the first I remember I said this on the first podcast. I think someone sent this to me. It's like, man, like without going to what I said, but
Oh yeah, yeah.
it's like it's like you know, when you're finished with a 90-minute match, there's no better feeling. And
Right.
I'm huge into tuning into emotions. And we talked about it from the beginning of this Instagram live. Like, dude, like your emotions are big, man. Like actually tuning into those emotions So it's to see what the game really means to you. So it's like you finish that
Right.
90-minute game, you work your ass off, you get the 3 points. It's like there's no better feeling in the world, man. Like
No, no.
it's hard to describe.
Yeah.
And you know, I love going off topic, but it's like it's a mix. Like it's a mix. Like you got to be doing applicable things that get to your game.
Yeah,
And it's like we always talk about. It's different what your goals are, where you're at in your career, your age, your experience.
yeah.
Like you have to be able to decipher that.
For
But
sure.
at the end of the day, you got to enjoy. You got to enjoy the game and have a why for why you're getting after, why you play, because that's going to be the reason for all that intrinsic motivation.
I mean, the why is the most important thing in my opinion, and it's like you said, it's the real why. It's not like, oh, well, my boys are playing. Oh, I want to be a pro. Like that's what I'm trying to get to the root of is like,
Sure.
why like Gary Vee talks about it. Like, why do you have these arbitrage goals? Like, why do you have or what's the word? These arbitrary goals.
Hmm.
It's like, why do you have why do you want to be a millionaire at 30? Why? Like
Exactly. Exactly.
because you want it quick. That's what I mean. You talk about it all the time, bro. I talk about it all the time. Stop wanting things quickly and start enjoying just enjoying not just the process, but just enjoying life. Like
Exactly.
we went shopping yesterday and we got, a ton of stuff for our keto. And we walked past the flaming hot Cheetos and my girl was like, "Oh, I really want them." I was like, "Babe, just get them." Like
Yeah.
we're living life, dude. Like we're living life.
Exactly.
Obviously, we don't need to fill the cart with Cheetos, but like, just get
Yeah.
them. Like, just have some
Exactly.
Cheetos.
Hmm.
So, so we get two things. We get like you need to find your why, and that comes from self-evaluation, taking the time to understand like why am I doing this? Just taking the time to just sit there and be like, hey, why do I like soccer? Why do I want to play?
Hmm.
What do I enjoy about it? What do I hate about it?
Hmm.
That's something like I I think about that a lot. Like, what in life do I hate? Like, it could be, doing emails, like doing emails, doing all this stuff, and
Yeah.
like understanding what you hate can motivate you. It could also like show you what you need to, you know, in business outsource, what you in soccer, like what you can get rid of probably. Like there's some things that are bad that you like I hate 2 hour workouts. Okay. Okay, make them shorter.
Hmm.
Be more focused. Split them in half. Do
Hmm.
1 hour and then 1 hour. Or
Exactly.
like I hate my coach. Okay, well let's break that apart. What does your coach say? Okay, he says this. Okay, do you think he's telling the truth? Do you think he's lying? Okay,
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
don't think it's the truth? Okay, well let's watch your film. Let's see if he's telling the
Sure.
truth. Like
For sure.
start having that inner dialogue with yourself like every day, week,
Hmm.
month, whatever, and just say, what do I love about the game? What do I hate about the game? Let's dive into why I hate it, and then let's focus on what I love. And like that's what I'm saying is like with the weaknesses and the strengths, like stop worrying about your weaknesses. Stop worrying about, your left foot's not big time, like, or
Hmm.
you're too short, or you're too slow and all this stuff. Stop worrying about that. Focus on the three strengths that you have
For sure.
and just make those superpowers, make those unbelievably good so
Hmm.
that no one cares about your weakness. No one cares about Messi's right foot, dude. No one
Hmm.
cares.
Hmm.
No one cares about, I mean, Ronaldo has no weaknesses, but no one cares. No one cares that he doesn't play. No one cares that he's not a good defender. No one
Yeah.
cares, dude.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
why don't you get to that point where you're a right back and you're not very fast? Okay, but
Hmm.
you're smart, you're strong, you have a great cross. Okay, no one cares if you're slow.
Exactly.
You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Makes sense.
So went on a tangent, but basically just have that inner dialogue every day, every week, every month, and just say to yourself, like, why am I doing this? Why am I
Exactly.
doing this?
Exactly. No, two things on that. Like, first of all, I think your point there is like when you're in a team, you got to know your role. Like,
Yeah,
know your role, man. Like, all right, if you're a right back, you're an outside back, and you're not the trickiest. You're not going to go 1v1 at guys, but you get the job done. You work your ass off. You
yeah,
win your tackles. You win your 1v1 battles, and you whip in solid crosses.
yeah.
You know, and something that I really learned over time is like, I used to play, number six. And then when I came to Germany, I didn't know the language. So I slotted into right back. And it was
Yeah.
like, when I was playing right back, I was trying to find these passes
Yeah.
that I would play as a number six. And
Yeah.
I remember like this one guy who plays on the Latvian national team. I went over to Latvia and he was like, dude, just play simple balls. Like you don't have to find the killer pass.
Right.
Give the ball to number 8, the number 10. Let them do the magic, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Play the simple balls. And I think sometimes, you want to overdo things. And it's like being able to play your role in your team
Yeah.
and be a key part to the team is huge. Like you don't have to be the fucking man. Like you don't have to be scoring tons of goals. Like you can play the simple balls, win your battles, win your tackles, and then when they think about you, it's like, man, that guy could whip a ball, and that guy, doesn't give away the ball, and he wins his tackles. Like you said,
Bro,
those three things.
bro, literally, this is why I stress like film, bro, because it's it's self-evaluation at its absolute peak. Like you can't if you first of all, if you're gonna watch film, make sure you're watching yourself. If you can't watch yourself, then watch games on YouTube. But number one, watch yourself, and it's self-evaluation at the highest level. Like
Sure.
you can't edit a game and
Yeah.
make yourself score that goal that you didn't score.
Yeah.
Like,
Hmm.
I mean, if you're a center mid or a center back or a right back or whatever, and you didn't track your runner, it's right there. I'm looking at it
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah.
So you can't say, oh, my coach, my mom, my dad, like
Hmm.
that's you. That is you on the film.
Exactly. It's kind of
So
like looking yourself in the mirror. It's the exact same thing.
it's even better because like the film isn't like
Yeah.
if I look in the
Exactly.
mirror and I smile, I'm smiling. But like
Yeah.
in the film, I've done
Right.
that. It's already done. It's
Right.
history. It's recorded. So there's no hiding from it. There's no like saying I did this, I did this. No, it's right there. You can't say
Yeah.
anything.
For sure.
And my coach in college really taught me that. I mean, he's like, Andrew, you didn't work hard enough in the game. I was like, what are you talking about? I'm the hardest working player on the team. And that was my mindset from high school because I knew I
Yeah.
was. So
Yeah.
when I got to college and I had a really good freshman season, really good sophomore season, then when a new coach came in January in my junior year, and a new coach comes in, I think I'm the man because I've played every single game freshman and sophomore year. He comes in and he said, you didn't work hard this game. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I always work hard. He shows me the video, says, look, you didn't track back here. You didn't tackle him. You didn't do this. And I'm like, I mean, what do you say? What do you say to that?
Yeah.
You're wrong. It's right there. It's right
Yeah.
there. So so I talk about self-evaluation a lot, and that's the highest form of it,
Hmm.
is that. But going to what you said about like playing simple and knowing your role and stuff like that,
Mm.
um, that's why I'm so against like get off the highlights because you watch 10 minutes of highlights. That's 10, 15 goals that Messi scored.
Hmm.
You didn't see the 85 minutes before that, before he
Yeah.
scored, where he just played a simple pass. He played it
Exactly.
here, he played it there. His movement was on point, how he moved off the
Hmm.
ball. And
Mm.
so people watch highlights so much that it's ingrained in their head that they have to
Exactly.
do that every single time they get the ball.
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
don't have to.
Very right.
Watch Messi the whole game. He doesn't do anything for
Mm.
88 minutes. He doesn't do anything.
Mm.
And then one time the center back slips up and he gets it, turns, takes him on, scores, and they win. Like,
Exactly. It's those
I
little
mean,
moments.
you don't see the times when he scores off the ball, when his running. Like, I was watching a game the other day on old game. It was the Real Madrid Barcelona from a while ago, 5-0
Hmm. Hmm.
Barcelona. And there's one moment where Messi gets tackled at half field. The ball is already going all the way into the box. He comes in late. Ball gets late to him and he hits it. Great
Yeah.
save. But like you don't see these little moments, dude.
Hmm.
Like some people get tackled and they just stay down in the middle of the field. They don't see it as an opportunity to trail the
For
play.
sure.
Like
For sure.
it's I mean video like I mean I did a whole webinar on 10 minutes of film. Like I was telling someone the other day, they're like, how much film should I watch? And I said, how much do you think?
Yeah.
And he goes, I don't know, like you watch like a game a day or whatever. I'm like, okay, but like it's more for the person. I can watch a full game and get like I can understand what I need to understand. But if you don't know yourself, if you don't have the self evaluation,
Hmm.
then for you it might be 10 minutes and you have to really cut in that 10 minutes.
For
So
sure.
it's up to the person, but like getting that knowledge of like watching a game and being like, oh, I see that. Go back, check it out. Okay, now I'm gonna go work on that.
Hmm.
It's going back to what we said at the beginning about getting one quote and then applying it. Watch that that pass is not on every single time you get the ball. It might not be on until the 88th minute, but you need to be smart enough through video analysis for me, through watching film and seeing when it opens up from your game. Like if you can
Hmm.
watch your own game, perfect. So you break it down and you're like, oh, I shouldn't have played that ball. It wasn't on. He read it. Shouldn't
Hmm.
have played that ball. Shouldn't have played that ball. Oh, I should have played it there. I should have played it there. And just seeing different moments and seeing what
Hmm.
the other person is doing. So the next time you're in the game, you see an indicator and you're like, oh, I can play that ball now.
Hmm.
And but going back to, the Ginter ball is like work on that. Perfect. Work on that. But you might need to play a couple of short balls. You might need to play 20 minutes of short balls, short, back to the center back, center mid, into the forward, whatever, in order to
Hmm.
open up that pass. Like,
Absolutely.
I have a couple of videos of me where I just play short, wait for that guy to come, and then the long ball to the left back. Like,
Hmm.
you have to be, it's chess, bro. You have to be moving
For sure.
people in order to get to that queen.
Hmm. Hmm. No, absolutely, man. I mean, I think that's something also, like you said, it's like you can preach hard work, and both me and you, we always preach, hard
Yeah,
work, but it's like you got to be doing the smart work, like we said from the beginning, that it's applicable to the game.
yeah,
And, you know, not, it's like people, they get tripped up with with the Malcolm Gladwell, the 10,000 hour rule
yeah, yeah.
and things like that. But it's like, you got to do things, and it's simple things, man. Like if you're an outside back, if you're a right or left back, just getting a ball, like getting a fucking ball pinged in at you at pace,
Yeah, yeah,
like to your right foot, you're taking a touch forward and you play a ball to the number 8, you play a ball to the 10 or the 6, or you
yeah.
play a ball down the line. It's like those things are simple. And like I think you said it on a voice message to me the other day. It's I've been referencing it a lot. It's, dude, like you can do all these sexy things, but when you actually, like you said, when you watch the games, when you watch game analysis, you don't see these sexy moves, man. Like 3 to 5 per game max. You see
Max.
simple balls, you see one touch balls, two touch balls, and I think what makes a pro is just like we always talk about, man, mastering the basics, becoming
Basics, bro.
consistent with the
Basics.
basics, taking a touch with the right, playing it down to the winger, taking a touch with the right, playing it inside with the left to your number 6.
Right.
Playing a one touch ball into the 6, playing a one touch. It's the simple things done
Right.
consistently.
Right. I mean, it all comes back to video, and that's why I'm so high on it. Because every time I'm talking about this kind of stuff, I'm like, oh, you can do that on video. But like just seeing, like I said, seeing the moments in the game that you could have played that ball or the ball you've trained, like
Hmm.
seeing that, like in boxing, when you see an opening and you've worked on your left hook, it's the time to do it.
Hmm.
But if you try a left hook every single time, I mean, first of all, they're gonna figure it out, and second of all, you're gonna give it away every single time.
Hmm.
So it's like, you know, um, the basics, like you said, the basics. But it's like when I watch my games, I'm like, oh, I should be. I mean, I should work on that. Like it
Hmm.
just appears. It's like, oh, I should work on that. There's times in the game. One of my things is like when I'm a center back, when to bring the ball down and when to head it away. Like just simple
Hmm.
things like that. And so
Exactly.
so when I watch my film now, I'm like, oh, okay, I should have had that away. I should have brought that down.
Hmm.
If I bring that down and he comes on my left shoulder, can I cut with my right? Like just simple things like that. So what am I doing in
For sure.
training? I'm having someone literally ping a ball at me in the air. So I'm either, and then someone else run. Either they run or they don't run, and I have to look at them before I go ahead it, so to
Hmm.
see if I can bring it down or not. It's just
Hmm.
you can. that's what I'm saying is like you can make your own drills.
For sure.
Like I love that you have your drills are basic, and I like
Hmm.
that because people need to know where to start. Like people need to
Exactly.
be like we don't like we were talking about. We don't need all the cones in the world set up over there, set up over there, set up right here, and just like zigzag through this one.
Hmm.
Shuffle out, come back in, go that way. Like we don't need all that right now.
Yeah.
Like I mean, if Ronaldo needs that because maybe it's way too easy for him to just do normal. I was watching his the other day with Juventus. Simple, one cone, left foot, right other cone, right foot.
Hmm.
Just
Hmm.
very simple. If Ronaldo's doing that, you should be
Yeah.
doing that 10 times.
Hmm.
And but when I watch the game, like things come out, and I'm like, okay, I need to work on that. And it's a very basic drill. It's not it's not crazy. It's not five different components to it. It's just literally what happened in the game. Throw it up. Guy comes over here. I have to take a look. Ball comes in. Chest it over to my right, and I play it. Simple.
Hmm.
And I do that. And then the second part is I do that maybe 5 to 10 times. I'm not there for an hour and a half
Hmm.
because it's a mental thing. It's not necessarily always a physical thing. It's a mental
Hmm.
thing.
For
I
sure.
the I have the touch to bring it down. I can bring it down if I want to, but it's me being aware that I can. That's it.
Hmm.
So
For for sure. No, and it's like if you compare football and life, it's the same thing. It's like it's the sum of everything. So
hmm
people are gonna judge your game off the sum of your actions. So if you have a lot of positive actions, and like I think we can talk about this as well. I think I'm sure you've covered it. It's like slowly building yourself into the game, playing
yeah, for
simple,
sure.
doing the easy things. And then over time, like we talked about with Messi and guys like Busquets, guys like this, they pick their moments, man. Like,
Yeah,
and it's the same thing. Like, that's why I like comparing everything to just one day, taking one day at a time. Like, dude, in the morning, when you start off in the morning, bro, you don't have, like, yeah, you want to start off with the hardest thing of the day. Fair, fair. But if you, one thing that these two personal trainers who coach Gary V.
yeah, yeah,
They have a business mentorship, and they taught me something really good. It's the 2 minute rule.
yeah,
If you wake up in the morning and you have something that you can do in 2 minutes, do it. Just do it.
yeah,
If you have
yeah,
to take out the trash, take out the trash. If you need to do the dishes. And it's starting simple.
yeah,
Starting simple, getting warm. Then you start heating up. It's like football, man. Like you play simple, you find the easy balls, then you start to gain confidence and you feel good, you're completing your balls.
yeah.
Then you play a ball that breaks lines,
Exactly.
you know?
And my college coach used to tell me because I used to try to play that ball every time. Like I'm like, yo, first of all, college, I can get subbed out at any point. So right now I'm like, yo, I need to play that ball. I need to play that ball. And I would be losing the ball so much. Like for me, I'm 87 to 90%. That's what I'm trying to get because,
Hmm.
I don't want to have 100% because that means I'm playing backwards every time. But I
For
don't want to
sure.
have 80 to 75% because that's just not good. I mean, giving away 3 out of 4 balls is not good.
Yeah.
So I would try to be playing these balls all the time, and it's just like he's just like, hey, listen, the game will tell you when to play the ball. The game will tell you when to make that pass. It'll just open up. Like
Mm,
he's like, I can't explain it, but it'll just open up. And once I
for
started
sure.
just passing to my right back, getting it over to my left back, center back, into the forward, back to me, out to the left, just playing simple, playing in my triangle, playing. All of a sudden, I would take a touch, someone wouldn't come, and I'd see that run, and I just play it in behind. Like
Exactly.
it would just happen. So people, and when you force things, it causes stress in the team, and like especially for a six, you need to be that guy who creates stability, creates that
For sure.
the um different tempos of the game. Like I can either speed it up or I can slow it down. Like depending on how I feel, depending on how the players around me feel, having the awareness to say, my right mid made 4 runs already. Let's just keep it right here. Let's just keep it. Then when it's on, we'll play it. But um, you know, figuring out the rhythm of the game, not always hitting the long ball, like you said, not always trying to split lines. Like
Hmm.
you watch Busquets' highlights, he splits lines every time. You watch the actual game, he doesn't do that every time.
Yeah.
So, um, so thinking about just thinking about the game in that aspect, and just understanding that it's it's a 90-minute game. You don't have there's no rule saying
No,
you can only score in the first 2 minutes. You can
yeah,
only
no
score in the
rush.
first 10 minutes. So let's keep the ball, play, 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 and not just to keep it for the sake of keeping it, but
Yeah,
I try to move the other team, like we were
move the
talking about.
opposition. Yeah.
It's chess. It's chess. I pass it to my left back. Okay, the right mid goes every time. Okay, I'm gonna keep it. I might fake it to my left back and play it to my left mid now, because the
Mhm.
left mid, like, just little things like that. I'm trying to move players. I'm trying to move.
Mhm.
Some people try to just keep it just to keep it. I I made a post yesterday. Why are you doing it? Why did you
Mhm.
do that? I asked young players when I watch them, and they're just walking like zombies sometimes. I used to do this even in college, but they're just watching the ball. So they walk, they walk, they walk, and I'll stop it and I'll say, "Why did you go in? You're a left mid. Why did you walk into the middle of the field there?" And
Mhm.
he goes, "I don't know." I'm like, "You have I should be able to stop it at any time and ask you, why did you do that?" And you say, "Oh, because the left mid came out, so I went in because that's where the space is." And if
Mhm.
you say that, perfect, perfect. But if you're just walking just to walk, if you're following the ball, then that's something you need to improve, is the why. Like, we haven't even involved the ball yet. I'm talking about guys who don't even have the ball.
Mhm.
So figuring out, even in the game, why did you move there? Why did you um why when the center back stepped you dropped? Why, like, different things.
Exactly.
As a forward, why did you check to the ball when you could have gone over the top? Where's the space?
Mhm.
Understanding those questions, and not just like just playing the game all the time. And a lot of people are zombies just walking around playing and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Know why you're doing something.
For sure. No, and just to add on that, like, first off, what you said with your college coach, like letting the game open up and going with the flow of the game, and it's like you only get there to that point is like by going into team training every single week and doing the extra training. But first off, I want to focus on team training. Going into team training every week, working
Bro,
your ass
don't
off.
don't don't even get me started on team training, bro. Honestly, I I love talking about, like, personal training and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
when I get the team training, I'm so passionate about it because I see it every time I take, like what I do a lot of is I go
Mm-hmm.
in and I help. Like, I've already been doing this, and that's why I put the consulting part on. I go in and I help coaches, like, coaches at younger age groups or whatever, and I'm just like, I take over their training session for a day or a week, and I help them out every single time, every time, without fail. So far, 5, 6 times I've done it. I have to stop the practice in the warm up. The warm up starts, and all I do is one person there, one person over here, one person in the middle, run to one person, kick it back with the right foot, go to the other person, kick it back with the left foot.
Yeah.
I have to stop it every single time and say, "Hey, is that how you do it in the game?" If
Mm-hmm.
And I asked the other person, if you were taking a throw in and he kicked it back to you like that, what would you say to him?
Mm-hmm.
And most of them are like, I tell them, like, "What are you doing?" I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, exactly. So why are you not doing that in training? What is the point of our training? People,
Exactly.
like it's become this, like, social gathering where,
Yeah.
hey, meet you at practice, good. And we go
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
train, and kids go to training, and they're like, "Oh, yo, my teacher gave me this, my teacher gave me that," and they're like, kick the ball. Oh, it went over
Yeah.
his head. Everyone starts laughing. It went over his
Yeah.
head. Starts laughing. I go, would you laugh in a game? No, you'd be so, like, I watch you guys in a game. You guys are so focused in a game and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you mess up all the time in a game. You don't laugh in a game. You don't laugh you don't laugh when he gives a goal away. You don't laugh at that. So why are you
Mm-hmm.
laughing now? Why? This is
Exactly.
training. This is training.
Mm-hmm.
You are here to, like, if a police officer is messing around in training, what happens? They get
Yeah.
they get kicked out. Like, people's lives are at stake. Here,
Mm-hmm.
the game is at stake. If you don't take training seriously, in academy, when we were in academy, there's 5 trainings for every one game.
Mm-hmm.
If you only show up on one day, if you only show up on the game, you're 1/5 as good as me.
For sure.
You're 20% as good as me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, So don't
Absolutely.
so don't even get me started on team training, man.
Yeah, no, but what I was gonna say is completely agree with that, and I think people. Uh, I want to comment on that right there. Even
Yeah,
professionals joke around
I
and
was about to
laugh at
say that.
training.
I was about to say that.
All right, man. Okay, professionals do joke around
Good
and
question.
laugh at
Good
training.
question.
Fine, very good question. Yeah, but dude, when you get into the meat of things and you're playing 4v4, you're playing 5v5, or you're playing 8v8, no one's laughing. You want to win, dude. Especially if you're making money and this is your money that you're putting food on the table, and that's the difference when you kind of go into the professional game. And I haven't been at the highest level myself, but I've thanks for the comment, Avador. But I've been paid to play the game. I've been at the professional level, and when you go in there and you're getting paid to play the game, and other guys are putting money on the table for their family, and they're 30-year-old guys. No one's laughing about. If you lose your man in 4v4, you get scored on. You're gonna hear about it. So
I mean,
it's
okay, so with regards to that of like laughing and joking, I do see that. I mean, when someone gets megged in 4v2
yeah, of
or
course.
5v2, that's cool, that's funny. But how many times do you see a guy, the ball comes over to him and it just goes over his foot, or he like kicks it? How many times like they've mastered the basics. So when they're doing this thing, they honestly don't even have to think about it. They're just like this. They're doing little no looks, whatever. It's still going to his hands perfect.
Yeah.
If you're joking around, and I see it in game, I see it like when we're playing 4v4 or 5v5. I see it in that as well, like just people just jogging or whatever. The habits are just not good enough. Like in a professional environment, I always think about Bayern Munich because I watch all of their trainings.
Yeah.
Uh,
Quality.
it's just like, yeah, they're laughing and joking, and it looks like they're going through the motions because they kind of are. But when they when they're actually playing, or when they're actually, I mean, when Lewandowski kicks people like crazy, man. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard many stories of Roy Keane kicking people in training. It's not a joke. It's not
Bro,
a
I think we
joke.
got to end this, by the way. It only 1 hour, right? So let me end and
Yeah, yeah.
share, and then we'll get back on. I don't want to lose this.
No worries. Do it.
All right, brother. Been a great talk with Mooley so far. Hope you guys are enjoying it. All right, brother. Yeah, so what were you saying about, Bayern going back into that?
Yeah, bro. I was just talking about like when I watch Bayern, and I was even just talking to my fiance just now about it. She was like, "You don't really see Ronaldo. You don't see Ronaldo mess up. When have you ever seen in training? When have you seen him mess up? And when he
Mm-hmm.
messes up, I mean, I've seen him mess up, but when he messes up, he sprints for the ball again. Like, because that's what he does in a game. Like,
Mm-hmm.
all I'm saying is, like, it's cool. Like when you meg someone in 5v2 or whatever, I'm the first one to like run off with
Yeah,
my
of
hand up
course. Of
for
course.
sure. But like,
Yeah.
but I watch your game. Like at the end of the day, we always say it's about the game. We're here to like training, eating, working out. All that stuff is for the game.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, Allen Iverson, practice. We're talking about a game.
Mm-hmm.
So for the game, it's like, are you? If it goes over your boy's head because you threw it and it goes over his head, is that what you do in a game?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're training like that, probably. But most of the time, people are laughing because, like, when Ronaldo laughs, it's because something was funny.
Yeah.
If you're laughing in training because you kicked it over someone's head off of a simple throw, you're probably insecure about your touch.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, my goal is always to get it to your hands. That's my goal. It.
Mm-hmm.
I just really feel like if you're a player, if you're 12 to 18 years old, and you can't get it to someone's hand from 6 feet out, then I mean, it shows you what you need to work on at that point. We should be doing that all training because that's something that you
Exactly.
need to be getting better. The basics,
Hmm.
and the basics. What we do as coaches is we have a player who's pretty good at 12, 13. Oh, he's pretty good. We move him up to the 13. We move him up to the 14s. We move him up to the 16s, 18s, whatever. But they never had the basics at 13. They need to be getting the basics where they're always like, even if it's a fast player, like this is the problem, is a fast player, a strong
Hmm.
player, all this stuff, they get moved up because they're bigger.
Hmm.
I like taking those players and just focusing on the basics. Can you, I mean, first, I don't like in a game, you're not necessarily going to have an easy lob pass like that, right? But
Hmm.
start there. Start with that easy
Sure.
lob pass. Then we'll work up to bouncing the ball. Then we'll work up to, you know, waist height, working on that.
Hmm.
So I like taking those kind of kids, the kids who are a little bit better, but don't have a great touch. They get away with taking a big touch and sprinting onto it. They get away with bullying little kids and all that stuff. But like
Yeah.
just working with those kids. So as coaches, we're letting people down by just moving them up to the age groups. They get to 18 and they can't pass the ball 5 yards. So so yeah, going back, getting off topic, but going back to, laughing and joking and training, it's cool. That's fine. If something's
You need to
funny,
do it. You need to do it.
you
Like,
have you have to. You
it's
have to.
banter with the boys. Like, you got to enjoy the training, but like, all right, so when there's a difference. Like, there's a difference between trainings are split up. They're split up. In
Right.
the beginning, you're doing rondos and you're going into more passing drills. You're doing some tactical stuff. But then in the end, you're doing competition. You're doing 4v4s, 8v8s. That's when you got to be focused because, like Mooley said, like, and of course you have to be focused as well. Like during the basics, and there's times to have fun, but just like in the game, man, like you got to pick your moments to laugh. You got to pick your
Right.
moments to have fun.
Always.
Every team has a different aura. Every team has a different vibe about it. So like, not there are going to be teams where like, yeah, you go in and it's more of a joke, and it's dependent on the coach and the
Yeah.
culture
Yeah.
and the environment. So like we said within the game, like you got to pick your moments, and like we could both attest to, man, like we play the game because we love it. It's a beautiful game and you got to enjoy it, but there are times that you have to be serious and be
For
extremely
sure.
disciplined, extremely focused, extremely concentrated. And then there are times, you can crack on 5v2 is a perfect thing. Like
Yeah.
rondos, man, like and this is the thing, man, like rondos, you can take very, very seriously, and you should, because it's an unbelievable game. Unbelievable game.
Yeah.
But man, if someone megs someone or you get 20 passes, have fun, enjoy it.
Bro, I always go back in my coach in college, absolutely hated him at the time, but everything he said was spot on. And he said,
Mhm.
like, you know what's fun? Winning. Winning's fun.
For sure.
Like, what's not, who's not laughing and joking? The guy who lost. He's not laughing and joking. And if he is, he's in the wrong game. So I always think about that when I'm doing rondos. Like, when I'm in a rondo, I'm my happiest when I'm not in the middle.
For sure.
Sometimes like I go the other way. Sometimes I want to go in the middle to get my defending going.
Hmm.
I mean, that's something else. And
For
but
sure.
like but like I'm my happiest when I'm connecting passes and I feel like they can't get the ball off me now. I feel
Hmm.
the best like that. I don't feel the best when I'm kicking balls over people's heads. I'm feeling my best when I'm getting it to their chest every single time.
For sure.
And and I feel fit. Like that's why I work so hard to like be fit in a game, is because
Exactly.
I'm way happier when I'm fit, when I'm moving, when
And when you
I'm
get the 3 points after the match.
obviously, yeah, when you get the 3 points. Like when I'm moving and I'm buzzing and I can't I feel like no one can touch me. I feel like I'm getting into every challenge and I'm winning every single challenge. That's when I feel my best. And that comes
Yeah.
from hard work and training. The five
Hmm.
trainings to one game in a week, if you're at the top level of academy. Otherwise, you're doing 3 trainings a week with one game. You're still getting that 3-to-1 ratio. You have to be putting in the work on those 3 days. Like, especially if you're a sub, don't even get me started on that. If you're a sub and you're not putting 110% in the training, I mean, dude,
Hmm.
that's go back to the last IG live about what's your why. Figure your why out, because if you're
Exactly.
if you're laughing and joking and you're a sub and you're not playing, like laugh and joke, like we said, laugh and joke. But if you're kicking balls over people's heads, if you're laughing at every mistake, if you're laughing at people talking when the coach is talking, maybe it's not for you, and that's fine. Like you can hang
Hmm.
out with your boys after, but
Exactly.
I find I'm my happiest when I'm winning.
Hmm. Yeah. When it's same here. I mean, I'm sure many people can relate. I know you can relate. It's like just like you said, man. When you're playing well, you feel your best. You know, like
Yeah,
when you come out of a training, you had a good training. The rest of the day feels good, man. Like
yeah,
or take it to a game. You know, you come out of a game, rest of the day feels great. But if you have a shitty game, man, you feel I can't. The rest of my day is shit, and that's like that's something I think you need to work on when you get older as a player. Like
for sure.
you have to like we talked about those emotions, but like I think it's important to feel that to see how much you really care and love the game.
Yeah,
You see that it can change the day, but you
yeah,
can't let it. I think that's the
right.
difference. Like you can't Gary Vee always says one of my favorite things from him is like just don't let the emotions control your actions.
Right.
You know,
I, I
just
mean, like you said, when you get to a certain age, like because I preach like work as much as you can. Like when I was a kid, when I was in high school, I worked out all day. I made sure if I had free time, I was working somehow,
mhm,
watching film, getting on the field, running, gym, whatever. And that's what you have to do because you don't know how much work it takes to get to be a pro. Like every person is different. You don't,
mhm,
but at that time, you don't know how much it takes. Like
mhm,
Messi didn't really know how much work he had to put in order to become a pro. It could have been for him, like we don't know because he did put in work. But if he had just chilled and maybe put in one session a day, he might have made it.
mhm.
But
There's
you
not
never
an
know.
exact quantity, you know.
There's not an exact quantity, like you're
It's
saying
not a
with Malcolm.
science.
When you're saying with Malcolm Gladwell, like 10,000 hours, maybe not. Like Messi might not have had to do 10,000 hours. He could have
Mhm,
done less. But
mhm.
as a kid, you don't know how much it takes. So put everything in. So put everything into it, and you might one day, oh, how did I get to Old Trafford? You never know.
Exactly.
But the other way, you don't put in enough work. Oh, how did I not become a pro? I should have become a pro. I should have, and then you have regrets. But putting all the work in. But what I was saying is when you get to our age, when you get to become a professional, then you have to make sure that you're doing 100% smart work. Like
Exactly.
Ronaldo's not doing, Ronaldo's not, doing sprint workouts every single day anymore. Like he's
Yeah.
not waking. I guarantee you, he's not waking up at 1 in the morning anymore, doing gym work. Sneaking out of his room and stuff like that. Like he's obviously putting in a lot of work now, still, but
Hmm.
it's probably more maintenance work. It's probably
For
more
sure.
like making sure his body weight is on point, making sure his eating's on point, making sure he's doing sauna, all that stuff.
Hmm.
So if you're before a pro, make sure you're putting in a ton of work. Make sure you're putting in all the work you can. Um, and then when you're a pro, make sure that you're having that smart work, that understanding, that video analysis, more video. Um, but yeah, I forgot where I was going. I forgot what we were talking about.
No, 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 no. But I know what you're saying. It's like, dude, like once you become a pro, you are at that age and you have the foundation. You know, you have the things down. That's what I always like to talk about, man. Like, and we talk about this often. Like, every individual is different. You have
Yeah,
different DNA than everyone. There are like things that you need to work on, but like, dude, it depends on everything. Like you said with Ronaldo, man. Like, what is he, mid 30s now? Like, he has to
30,
take,
34 now, I think.
yeah, like he has to take care. Like, he's treating himself differently at this age than
Yeah,
he was when he was 10 years younger because
yeah,
he's at a different stage in his career. And
yeah,
like Muli and I have been talking about the whole time, man, like it's smart work. It's smart work. Once you get to a certain point, you have to be able to look at yourself in the mirror and really, really dive in and analyze yourself. Where you have to get better, what strengths you have to make those better, to make those, like you talk about, the
right.
top three things to make
Yeah,
you
yeah,
known for that.
yeah,
And then you have to you have to pick the stage you're at. So it's like the
Yeah.
same thing. Like for me, it's like there are like 3 to 4 phases of a football season.
Yeah.
You got off season, you got preseason, you got in season, and then you got that stage between when season finishes and preseason comes around again. Obviously
Right.
off
Right.
season, but that little stage. And it's like you got to
Right.
pick the stages. The
Hmm.
stages, you have to pick those stages and pick smartly, like we said.
Right. I want to answer this question real quick though. One of my followers said, "Do you guys think football is about playing on instinct or thinking or both?" And I mean, obviously, the answer is both. But I think for me, I mean, I'm more of a thinker in the game. Like I'm always thinking about,
Hmm.
like I'm always thinking, you know, always thinking about distances. I'm always thinking about, as the ball's coming, am I going to be doing one touch or two touch? I'm thinking ahead. When the
Hmm.
ball comes to me, it's more instinct at that point. I've said when I receive the ball, the forward's on. But once I get it and I look up and I can't see him anymore, okay, then we go back this way. That's instinct. But like,
For sure.
so it's both, obviously, but I also think it's by position as well. I think forward is a very instinctual position.
Hmm.
Goalkeeper is probably a bit more instinctual as well. But like for me, I'm more of a thinker. I I try to think ahead. I try to think everything out. I try to think for other players. I talk other players in the position. I think if the more I think, the less I have to run.
For
So
sure.
I try to think as much as possible. And once again, my college coach, whom I didn't like at the time, but he always said, at the end of the game, your brain should be the most tired muscle in your body. And I was like,
Yeah.
I mean, at that point, I was just like, that's what it should be.
Yeah.
We always, like, obviously you should be doing your fitness work. You should be doing fitness, working on your stamina, all that stuff. But what I found out is I was like, oh, I need to, like, if I'm tired in the game, I need to work out more. I need to get fitter, all this stuff. But no, if you think more, you have to run less. So I was like, okay, let's keep the same fitness that I have. Like, keep
Hmm.
working. Do like I used to do, like, in Germany and Chattanooga, I would do one good fitness session every single week,
Hmm.
and so I would still do that. But in the game, I would try to think more. I would be like, okay, if I can think more, I can use my energy for more productive things.
For sure.
People are running all over the field and they're getting too tired, and then at the end of the game they give the ball away and they lose 1-0.
Hmm.
So you need to make sure that you're doing. The brain is the most tired muscle in the body.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then I think it's like in terms of instincts versus thinking, it's like you got to trust in your training. It's
Yeah, for sure.
uh, being able to trust in your training, and like we said from the last IG live, the end of the segment, we were talking about just being able to benefit from each team training and each individual training, and that's what training is, man. Like you're putting in the reps consciously. So
Yeah,
when the game comes around, you don't like
it's
you
easy.
make you do those subconscious actions. You get into a flow, and like Mooley said, it's a combination of both. It's a combination of you play with instincts and you play in a flow, but you also have to think as well. You have to think ahead. Where's when the ball comes to me, when the ball comes from the right center back, you know, where is the pressure coming from? Like,
Yeah,
is the pressure coming from the middle? Do I have to play it down the line, or is the pressure
right,
coming from the line? Am I trying to play it to the center?
right.
But then it's like, okay, you could think of that step ahead, but if the pressure, like you see the pressure coming one way and then he comes the other way, then you have to trust in
Right.
your instincts and your training that you make the right decision. And it's like you could have an episode of overthinking. So it's like a balance.
Bro, I mean, it's all about balance. I mean, life is about balance. Um, but like we were saying at the beginning, finding your rhythm in the game, finding, simple passes. All I'm doing in the first 15 minutes of a game is figuring out, where's the other center mid? Are they putting a ton of pressure on me, or are they letting me play? Are
Hmm.
they are they waiting for me to play a certain pass in order to jump it, or are they just sitting back in a block? First 15 minutes is literally me prodding and probing, trying to figure out where the other team's going to go, where they're going to move. Um, how good is the center mid? Like I can gauge a player in 15 minutes. That's a lot of time for me to gauge someone.
For sure.
But I'm playing very simple in the first 15. I'm making sure that I'm gathering all this information.
Hmm.
Um, this was a while ago, but I watched the Ronaldo tested to the limit, and they were just saying like when he's dribbling at someone, he's gathering a ton of information. Like he's dribbling at someone, he's watching their hips. He's watching which foot they always lead with, or if they switch it up. He's
Hmm.
watching. If I go this way, does he go that way? Does he go all the way, or does he go part of the way? Is he watching where I'm like? That's what I was telling people the other day. Is like sometimes I do a step over to see where you're gonna go,
Hmm.
and I might do another step over to see if you go there again. If you do that again, then I might do a boom boom and go the other way.
Hmm.
So you just always be gathering information, playing, um, playing intentionally,
Hmm.
not just playing. Like you said, you have
Have
to have a
that
balance.
purpose.
You have to have that balance of the flow and the intellectual side of
For sure.
almost overthinking. So I'm always thinking. I'm moving the ball. I'm seeing where they're playing. If he steps too much, then I might play it around the corner. Like just little things. I'm just trying to figure things out.
Hmm.
And I mean, I get so mad when people get mad at me for playing it backwards or something like that. I'm like, I'm not like I play it backwards because oh he put a lot of pressure on me. Okay, now I know. So next time I get it, I can turn or I can play it to you and move again. Like
Hmm.
I'm just trying to gather information. When I pass it, I'm seeing who moves when I pass it. So
For sure.
I mean, oh, analyzing in the video, but also analyzing in game.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. It's like we said, it's about picking the moments, and you're gonna have guys who are screaming at you to do this and do that, but you have to trust in your own self. You have to trust in your own instinct. And man, if you play it back and it's a completed ball, your team keeps the ball, and he yells at you, fair. But if you didn't see something on and you try to force it forward and you lose the ball, then he's gonna yell at you as well. So it's like,
Right.
man, you got to trust in yourself, and it's hard. It's easier said than done, but it's being able to um, find peace within the noise. It's like with everything.
For sure. I mean, someone asked, is that the same for attacking players? I mean, I always talk about soccer as in like soccer is soccer. Like you're a player. You're a player
Yeah.
first. I mean, I started out as a forward and now I'm a center back, center mid. Like you need to have that foundation for all of it. The
Hmm.
intellectual foundation, the technical foundation. You need to have all that so that if you're a forward, you know what a center back's thinking. If you're a left back, you know what a left mid's thinking or a right mid's thinking. If you're a forward, you know what a center back's thinking. Like all that stuff, right?
Hmm.
So making sure that you're studying the game for real, not just watching games because people think watching games means that you're studying. It's not. Like I can watch Netflix and not study.
Hmm.
Like so making sure you're getting that tactical knowledge, the um, the analytical knowledge in order because I know when things are going to happen because I've watched enough film to where I know what should be happening. Like if I'm playing against two center defensive mids versus me, I can deal with that. Like I know how to deal with that. I've watched enough video on it. I watch myself do it.
Hmm.
So it's just, I mean, at the end of the day, it's just knowing yourself and understanding like this is what I need to learn, so I need to learn it.
Hmm.
True knowledge is knowing what you don't know. So
For sure.
a lot of people don't know what they don't know. So figure out what you don't know and learn that. So I
Hmm.
mean, it's very simple and it's very comes down to self evaluation at the end of the day.
Yeah, and like you said from the very beginning, man, like you have to be first off, you have to be a student of the game. Like you have to always be willing to learn. You have to have an open mind because like you have been saying throughout the whole conversation, man, like
Yeah,
you learned a lot from your college coach.
yeah,
And you didn't like him at first, and
no,
and it's the same thing. You could compare it to like when you're younger and your parents tell you to do something, right? And you don't
right,
like it. But as you get older, you realize, wow, My mom was right. Wow, my dad
Right,
was right. You know, it's the
right.
same thing. Like, you can learn from everyone. And I think that's what people have to take in and really, really embody. And I want to
Yeah.
answer that question real. I got a question here from Mook Untha. What do you think a daily routine for a teenager should be right now? Bro, like we've been talking about from the very beginning, like you have to pick like when when you start your day, you have to pick one thing you really want to work on, and something like
Yeah.
I'm really big on. It's like journaling and being able to focus on the most important things and getting those done. And for you, whatever your goal is, I don't know what it is, but if your goal is to be a college player, a professional player,
Right.
one of your main things should be getting your session in, and then eating cleanly, and then getting the correct sleep, the correct recovery. Because when you get those things done, then you could get other things done if you're still in school. The schoolwork's
Right.
going to be easy because you're crushing the hard sessions. You're staying
Yeah.
disciplined with your eating. You're staying disciplined with your recovery. And to be honest, man, like if you pay attention at all to my page, I think that I try to cover that. Like I try
Yeah.
to cover habits are huge. Like you got to ingrain the right habits.
I mean, we talked about at the beginning about like what's your why. So, I mean, you asked me what your routine is. Well, what is your goal? I
Hmm.
mean,
Exactly.
self-evaluation. We talk about reverse engineering. Like, what is your goal?
Hmm.
Then reverse engineer that to what do I have to do every week? What do I have to
Exactly.
do every day?
Hmm.
So, you know, obviously, Matt Sheldon didn't say it, but on Your Life, he said it, and he said, people underestimate what they can do in a year, but they overestimate what they can do in a day. And I literally like that's been in my head since the live, and I'm just
For
like,
sure.
yo, am I trying to change the world in one day?
Hmm.
Because honestly, that's what I'm trying to work on right now. Is like, hey, you don't have to stay up till 2 every single day. Like you can,
For sure.
try to schedule it out so you're getting everything in. And that's what I really think that's what the question's lending itself to is like, yo, what should I be doing? I mean, you know what you should be doing. You know what you should be
Exactly.
doing.
Yeah.
What is your goal? You want to be a college player? Okay, perfect. Go train. Like Rick said, go train. You should be emailing colleges now, probably saying, hey, I'm interested in coming to college. Do you mind watching my film or something like that? I don't know. Anything, figure it out.
Hmm.
And going through that, some advice for college as well. Like my dad always told me, go to a college that wants you. Like, so it sounds simple. It's like, oh, obviously, but a lot of people go to a college that they wanted to go to. If the college wants you, you know, go there before you go to
Hmm.
college that you had to work hard to get into. But
It's
back
the
to
same
the,
thing in the professional game. Like, go to a club that really wants you and is really keen on you. Not like, yeah, and that also is dependent, of course, on your role in the team, your money, the money they give you, and things like
yeah,
that. It's like
yeah,
you got to go to a place that you feel like home, and somewhere like something that I'm huge on now, and we've talked about is like somewhere that you can grow as a player, and
yeah,
of course as a person, like somewhere that you can go. You
yeah,
fit into the coach's philosophy. You fit into the coach's system. The whole
yeah,
club wants you there. Like, because there are clubs that I've been to where like you go and like you have fans calling you, you have people calling you, but then you go to other clubs and it's like, you know, a bigger club and your role isn't as big and you don't feel as wanted. It's
yeah,
different. It's the
yeah. I
same
mean,
thing with, like you said, with college. Like, you
yeah,
could have a big UNC, who, yeah, they'll give you some money, they'll take you in, and you can have a chance to play. Or you can
yeah,
go to a mid-level school, get minutes, feel respected, feel like a player there, and
yeah,
that's where you can develop more, in my opinion.
yeah. I mean, with that, like, and then I'll get back to the schedule. I wanted to say one more thing about the schedule, but with the team thing, for me, obviously, when you're first starting out as a pro, you need to take what you're given, right?
For sure.
At the very beginning. But once you earn your stripes, then you need to start like, respecting yourself in terms of how other people view you. When you first start out, when I went to San Antonio, I was begging them to give me a spot. Like, hey, I've been working my butt off, like, give me a spot. And they're like, okay, we can do like a little bit of like something like this. I'm like, great, perfect. That's all I need. Made my
Hmm.
professional debut, bounced. Like, and then as I started playing more and more, went to Atlanta United too. And then once I got to Chattanooga, I knew like, hey, I'm 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 24 years old. I know what I can bring to the table. This is what I can bring to the table, and I'm not going to accept anything less, really.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, like, but when you like we were talking about at the beginning with going to another country, like if you think you're big time coming into the pros, like you're not. You're not.
Hmm.
So you can't, like, don't be taken advantage of in terms of like, don't let people talk to you any way they want and all this stuff. But at the same time, understand that you're trying to make a name for yourself. Being there is good enough at that point. Make sure you're growing. Make sure you become the best player on the team by the end of the year or whatever. At least try. Um, so yeah, no, I mean, that's something I've learned is that, now I'm not taking any shit from anyone now
For
because I
sure.
know what I bring. I know what I bring to the table. I know my experience level. So if someone comes to me, I always listen to what they have to say. But then I see what they're talking about. I see their actions towards me, and I say, hey, you know what? Actually, that's not in line with what I'm thinking. So, we're not going to do that. So knowing what you're worth at that point. What I wanted to say about the schedule as well is like with the reverse engineering and what you're saying is like what you always preach and it's perfect is like diet, exercise, mental, all that stuff needs to be quality. And I agree with that 100%.
Hmm.
But a lot of people right now are training one time a day, two times a day, and they're done. Like they're done. So that's why I'm huge on video. It takes zero physical effort. You
For
watch
sure.
you watch video, you sit down, you engage the mind. The mind can go for 12 hours straight without really losing. Obviously, you get tired and stuff like that, but without losing any of its intensity, you can go 12 hours.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, but physically, the maximum you can go is probably 2 hours, right?
Hmm.
Or, maximum
At a
you can
good
go out
rate.
for
Hmm.
at a good rate. Yeah. So
I'd
if you
say 75 to 90.
right, there you go. I mean, so when you're done with training, like I say, like 30 to 45 minutes, hard work. Once you're done with that, you do your recovery, just like you say, recovery, eating well, all that stuff, and then watch film.
Hmm.
If you only train one time a day, and you hear me talk about like work harder, and you try to do 5 times tomorrow, you're gonna be
Hmm.
dead. You're gonna be shut down for the rest of the week. So
For
make sure
sure.
you're doing smart work, 30 minutes to 45 minutes in the morning or the afternoon or whatever you want to do it, and then the rest just watch film, and then add. I tell people to add like a little 20 minutes at the end of the day or 20 minutes at the beginning of the day,
Mm.
not a full session.
Hmm. No, I want to add to that too. It's like what we've been saying throughout, man. It's like someone said it before about like, does the consistency in life relate to consistency in football and matches? And absolutely it does.
For
That's
sure.
what basically the whole conversation's been about. That's what
Yeah.
we're both about. Like, I would rather you watch 20 to 25 minutes of film per day than try to cram a 90-minute match in. And like we said from the beginning with a book, and pointing to the simplest thing, like get 20 to 25 minutes. And it doesn't even have to be 20 to 25 minutes of a match.
Right.
It can be 20 to 25 minutes of your time where you're pausing, you're looking here,
Right.
you're
True.
looking there.
True.
What
True.
does he do? And there's a difference between, like we say all the time, quantity and quality. Like being able to, like we said, take the information and apply it. And
Right.
dude, even if you for 25 minutes you watch a match, you spend 25 minutes of your time and you learn one thing, it's worth it. It's
Worth it.
worth it. One thing, if you learn, oh, I don't have to play that ball every time. I could just play
Yeah.
simple here. That's going to be and it's something I talk about all the time, those marginal differences, those marginal changes
Yeah.
over time, 20 to 25 minutes per day. You learn one thing, or you don't even learn something. You do it every day. You learn something 4 to 5 days a week. It's
Yeah.
worth it.
I mean, it's funny, like so on my webinar last week, basically I was watching Michael Carrick and I was like comparing him with Anderson, and they're two different types of players. And I was like, I don't disagree with what Anderson does. There was one moment when he dribbled past four guys, but then he ran into six. And I was like, I don't disagree with the fact that you can dribble as a six, but that's not me. So when I'm watching the game, I'm like, that's what I don't want to do. Then I was watching Carrick and how he plays. And in the middle of it, I was like, oh wait, I didn't even notice that. And I went back and you see Rooney, the ball comes and he's facing his own goal. As the ball comes, he flips his body and he receives it going forward to his own goal. And I'm like, guys, I didn't even notice that the first time I watched it. I'm watching it again. That's high quality, that's high quality information that you should be getting.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I always say, like you said, 25 minutes of your time could be 5 minutes of video, watching it
Exactly.
5 times.
Exactly.
And I'm telling you right now, if you don't watch video right now, watching 5 minutes of a video for 25 minutes is the best thing you can do. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 25 minutes of your time watching a 10-minute clip is the best thing you can do. I swear it. Like, I remember doing it at Shattuck so much. Like, I would do it in class. Like, I'm not saying you should do that, but
Mm-hmm.
if you're watching it like over and over and over again, I would watch the same game like 8 times, just watching it over and over again, trying to figure out like what I missed in the first video, what I missed in the
Mm-hmm.
second one, what I missed in the third. Like, I'm always looking for that. And if you watch 10 minutes, 25 minutes a day, 5 to 10 minute clip, I swear it'll change your game so much. You'll see things way differently when you're on the field. You'll see it like you're watching it on a helicopter, watching over the field. It just
Mm-hmm.
it just changes your game, and no one's teaching it. I think
Mm-hmm.
we do talk about mental training, and you talk about it, and it's perfect, bro. Wim Hof, just the breathing aspect of it,
Mm-hmm.
the mental aspect of it, meditating, journaling, all that stuff. I'm doing
Mm-hmm.
that. But the mental part, practical mental in like for the game, for soccer and specifically, video is the best mental
For sure.
training you can do. The best mental training. People always ask, and I used to look it up all the time. Mental training for soccer. It's like, that's great. There are, visualization, all this stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
watching film, watching everything uncover itself, watching him move and then him come over here and seeing those movements just
Mm-hmm.
changes your game completely.
For sure. For sure, man. It's also with video as well, man. Like, there are times where you need to focus on your player, right? And that you need to focus on your position. But also, you can also just watch a game and try to feel that flow, like how it breaks down, like, I don't know, it's kind of hard to describe, but it's like, just like we talk about the training, like, it doesn't all the time have to be so structured, you
Right.
know? Like, I'm not talking about watching it even as a fan. I'm talking
Yeah.
about still studying it and just seeing the flow of the game and how things break down in the game. And it just, like, if we're not on the pitch right now, but when you get back onto the pitch, you'll feel just so much more comfortable with what you're
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like, um,
1 second, I'm opening a window here. You can keep talking.
yeah, no, like you said, in the, you feel more comfortable, and it's like I watch, like, I'm not like we were saying the other day, like, we're not robots. We're not saying only watch soccer if you're gonna analyze and you're gonna break it down and you're gonna write
Exactly.
notes about it. Like, I watch, I watch games sometimes and I just watch it as a fan. Like, when I watch Arsenal games, I don't care about the tactics, honestly, because they're all over the place most of the time.
Yeah.
But I'll just watch because I'm a fan, and like I'm on the edge of my seat just like everyone else, and I'm jumping up and down when they score and all this stuff. But
Yeah.
it's just like watching Netflix. It's just like eating unhealthy. Like, it should be done, like, because it's about life and enjoying life. And just like with diet, just like with exercise, we're not saying don't take a day off. We're not saying don't ever eat unhealthy. We're saying when you're actually studying, we're actually training, make sure you're watching film and make sure you're going back, watching it again. Um, but with you, when you say like watch the whole game, absolutely right. Like watch the whole game and see how. I always like watching a goal and then going back like 30
Yeah.
seconds and seeing what happened at the beginning to see what happened like in order for that goal to happen. A lot of
Hmm.
times it's the forward not putting pressure, or it's a it's from one team's corner and then the other team goes and scores. What happened there? Oh, the center back didn't run back. He didn't sprint back. He should have sprinted back. Like little things like that.
For sure.
And but what I try to teach, just like what you said with the diet and the exercise and stuff like that, and I'm saying just add one extra little, just add one something to your, add one something to your routine. With the video, like
Hmm.
if you can for 5 to 10 minutes, focus on one player. Obviously, it will come out like when he passes a ball and the other person takes a good touch, whatever, that'll come out. But like
Hmm.
try to focus on one player, see what he does, see the movements, see, I always look where his head's at. Most of the time, like the ball will come. I look to see if he takes a look while the ball is coming. That's a
Hmm.
top level player is when the ball is en route and you can take a look and you get it
For
and you
sure.
play. So I try to add that to my game. Just little things like always, can you add it to your game? Can you add it to your game? But like I said at the beginning,
Hmm.
add little parts to your training. Don't try to watch a full game. Like we said, don't try to watch a full game and um, you know, get notes from that. Watch a little segment, get notes from that, and apply it to your game.
Hmm. No, I mean, like we've been saying the whole time, it's about the small little details, and those add up over time. Like you said,
Yeah.
if you could implement, a little Dybala check. No, someone said, yeah. What did you say, Dybala?
When
You
just
said
now?
a check when the ball comes, because someone just said Dybala.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, when the ball comes and yeah, the ball's en route, you check over the
Yeah,
shoulder. Like if
right.
you add that into your game, it's a small, simple, and it's like
It's tough too.
yeah, and it's like
And
not doing everything at once too, man.
right,
Like
right, right.
I think that's what a lot of youngsters need to hear. It's like, everyone nowadays, like you got guys posting things on social media and you think that you have to do all these things at once, but you don't, man. Like implement it one thing at a time. Because if you do it at once and you try, if you do all the things, you can have a 3, 4 hour session. Yeah, maybe you hit all aspects of your game, but you're not going to be able to do that consistently. Like we said,
Right.
whether you're center mid, you're going up to a wall, you're training by yourself, hit a ball off the wall. Maybe before you watch Dybala or some clip where you see someone checking over his shoulder, maybe you were turning without looking. Now just add
Right.
that turn in. When the ball comes, turn, get the ball, and you're getting used to it. You're doing 10 reps of that. Maybe the next week you do 15. The next week you do 20. It's over time, those small little increments.
100%. And going back to what Matt said, and I take this to the next level is like you overestimate what you can do in a day, but you underestimate what you can do in a year. And I take that to the next level of like you underestimate what you can do if you add little bits and pieces to your game in a year.
Hmm.
If you do that in a year, then I mean you're going to be you're going to be a way better player. But if you try to do all of that at once, if you try to add all these different components to your game, then you're going to burn out. You're going
Hmm.
to get to the end of the year and nothing's going to be accomplished. Everything's going to be mediocre. I mean, that's my biggest problem is I want to learn everything right away. I want to
For
be
sure.
or someone tells me something, I'm like, okay, I want to go implement that now. But it's like,
Yeah.
hey, take it in, understand it, learn,
Hmm.
apply it today, apply it tomorrow, apply it the next day. And then after 20 days, then we'll add something else. But
Exactly.
like focusing on one thing and getting really good at it and making that, great, by the end, you're going to be in a way better place. If you can just add a salad or
Hmm.
to your diet by the
Yeah,
end of the year, one salad every once a day, one salad once a day, by the end of the year, you'll lose whatever amount of pounds. Like one 5 minute walk, one like just
Yeah,
little things. Not you don't have to go running a marathon to lose weight. Like just
exactly.
simple, simple, simple. Doing that every single day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. Like you said, even just, what's his name? Just James Clear wrote a really good book about, power of habit.
Yeah.
And it's just, being able, like, just replacing, um, you know, hold on a second. We got a couple comments about finishing the conversation. If you don't enjoy the conversation, leave.
I
Leave,
saw that. I saw that.
I had like a couple of these comments, man.
I think
Peace
that's my
out. Like,
I think that's my fiance actually.
no, I'm in. I'm in.
Just kidding.
Yeah. No, but yeah, just like the simple replacement of habits and implementing new habits slowly. It's
Right, for sure.
it's how it is, man.
But yeah, I mean, someone asked about an injury or whatever. Like the best thing you can do during an injury, obviously, do your rehab. You know, listen to the doctor. But studying film, dude, honestly.
Yeah.
So a story for me, like when I was 13, um, I had my appendix removed, and I was out of commission for 2 months because I'm a baby about it, bro. When I get like surgeries or anything like that, I'm like they're like you're supposed to be out of the hospital in 2 days because you're supposed to walk and you're supposed to whatever. I was like, it hurts. I'm just gonna chill. I was there for 5 days,
Yeah.
so I'm a baby about that stuff. But what I'm saying is, I watched a lot of like Ronaldinho videos. I watched a lot of things when I was out of commission. I came
Hmm.
back, my touch was on point, my passing was quality, like
Hmm.
everything was like obviously not where it is when I'm playing week in week out, but it was still it was very quality. And that came from watching. Obviously, my fitness wasn't great. My fitness was needed to be worked on because I was just lying around. But
Yeah.
my passing was good. My first touch was good. I was still quality when it came to my team. Technically, I just needed to work on my fitness. But I'm saying when you're injured, do your rehabilitation, do your what the doctor says, but watch film,
Absolutely.
watch film, watch film, and develop that habit now. So
Hmm.
flipping from that, like in quarantine, everyone's in quarantine right now. So if you're injured, you're basically like half the players in the world right now because half the
Exactly.
players really aren't doing anything. They're taking this as like a time of chilling.
Hmm.
So, but when we come out of this quarantine, like there's gonna be a lot of opportunity for players, for coaches. Like there's gonna be a massive switch. Like people are gonna switch positions. People are gonna, coaches are gonna leave. Coaches are gonna get fired. Whatever.
Hmm.
Players are gonna leave. Players are gonna be out of contract. It's very up in the air right now. So there's gonna be time, or there's gonna be opportunity. So make sure that you're, you know, developing a new skill. Like make sure you're
For
developing
sure.
something. So if you're not doing video and you're injured now, develop the skill of video. Develop the habit of doing video.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, that great Theodore Roosevelt quote, do what you can where you are with what you have.
Yeah.
It's that simple, man. That's how I look at things. Like if my legs are sore, if I don't feel fresh enough to do a quality sprint session or ball work session, then do upper body.
Yeah.
Do an upper body session, watch film, do things, always find something that you can do. If you really do want to level up yourself and become a better player,
Yeah.
that's what you have to do. There's no secret around it. There's no shortcut, and I talk about it all the time. We both talk about it. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's not an easy thing to be a college player. It's not an easy thing. It's an even much harder thing to be a professional player. But
For sure.
if you really want it, you're going to have to find a way. You just always have to find a way. It's that simple. Whether you're on the pitch or you're off the pitch, you're going to always have to find a way.
Bro, I mean, yesterday I got made fun of because I made the bed incorrectly. So now I'm just like, okay, well, now we need to level up that. We need to be able to make the bed a little bit better. Like just little things like that when you're just like when you're self analyzing on steroids, you're basically just looking at it. And sometimes, honestly, like I talk about it as like the best thing you can do and all this stuff, and it is like self analyzing is huge.
Hmm.
But there's also a down part of it where you can get a little bit like depressed, and you're like, yo, when you see everything that you need to work on, you're like, yo, what do I even bring to the table? So you need to have that
Exactly.
balance of like self-analyzing, being self-critical, but also being like, hey, I'm big time at this. I'm big time
For
at
sure.
this. I'm killing this. So, yeah, bro.
For sure. Let's answer some of these questions real quick. See if we got any
Yeah,
good ones here.
yeah, yeah. I see people shout out to Greece, shout out Indonesia, Kenya.
Fuck off.
But bro, even with the, doing a little bit today, doing a little bit tomorrow, like making sure you're building those habits, like even with, our profile, like we're just like you said, just making sure you're putting out 3 pieces of content a day, making sure you're getting on your stories, making sure you're just doing like little things every single day to make sure that you're building, building that foundation and building, um, because I mean, you never know when it's gonna snowball. You never know
For
when
sure.
it's gonna pop. Like you could be working 2, 3, 5 years before you get the call up. Before you get that, before you get the professional, the real professional contract. When you're bouncing around non-league or whatever.
Hmm.
If you're in England, bouncing around non-league, and then all of a sudden, oh, League One side wants me. Okay, I'm gonna go there, and then the Jamie Vardy, making it when you're 28. Like you never know when it's gonna pop, but you just gotta keep making sure that you're consistent, make sure you're doing it, and that comes from
Hmm.
knowing your why. Because if you don't know your why, you're not gonna want to do the work.
For sure. For sure. And like we've talked about this whole conversation, it's just preparing for that opportunity.
Right.
Um,
Right.
you know, and like always, that's what people don't see. Like, you know, like you said, you can do something very simple, right? And whether it's analyzing 25 minutes of film, uh, doing 30 minutes of ball work, something simple that you don't think it's too big, but if you do it repeatedly over time and you build it as a habit and you do all the right things to prepare yourself and that opportunity comes,
Yeah.
you've been training for it. So like I want to touch on, like we talk a lot I think one of the most common questions I get is about confidence. And
Yeah. Same.
like we talk about, man, if you are prepared and you're putting in the work and you know that you're putting in the work, like it's 2 points, like from a mental standpoint and from a physical standpoint. From a mental standpoint, you're going to know when you cross over that white line
Right.
that
Exactly.
you've been putting in the work,
Exactly.
mentally. And then also physically it's going to show. So it's a combination of both.
Bro, I mean, first of all, no one's doing video. So if you're doing video analysis before, like during the week, if you're doing that and you understand what you need to work on, and you've already gotten 1% better in that week. If you've done that first, second, you've put in the work, like you said. I always tell people like, hey, if you're not confident, you probably didn't put in enough work,
Hmm.
because
Exactly.
it's very rare that I go on the field and I look at someone, I'm like, oh shoot, like they put in more work than me.
Hmm.
Like you just got to make sure you put in more work, because even if you don't, you know, even if maybe you didn't put in the most work, believing that you did by actually like doing your best, putting in the work, you're just more confident. You look at the other
For
player and
sure.
you're like I said the other day, like if I put in the work and I get to this point and I'm coming into a game, it's very hard for me to let you beat me, because I put in the work. I worked for this.
Hmm.
Everyone wants free mentorship or whatever. It's like, how do I know you're gonna put anything in if you're not gonna,
Exactly. No
if
accountability.
you didn't put anything in. You
You
didn't
gotta
put
have the
anything
skin in the
in.
game.
So, you know, you gotta put in something in order to not give it away easily. If you don't work hard, like the guy I talked about at the beginning when, he just kicked the ball over the guy's head and he laughed about it or whatever, you think when he loses a game, you think he's going to be like, oh, dang, I put in all that work. No,
Hmm.
he was just joking around in training. He doesn't deserve, I mean, don't, don't be sad about the things you didn't achieve with the work you didn't put in.
Hmm.
So at the end of the day, like what you put in is what you get out. We always say it, but it's true. Like if I work hard at something, it's way harder for me to give it up.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, the quote, the harder you work, the harder it is to quit,
Right.
Like you said, if you know that you're putting in the work and you're doing everything that you should be doing, uh on and off the field, you just got to believe, you got to have hope that you're going to get an opportunity, and when you get it, you got to take it.
Yeah.
It's the same if you want to be a footballer, if you want to get your dream job.
Right.
If you really love it that much, you're going to be willing to put it in. And like we talked about, this is one of the most important things. Like, even when you don't feel like doing it, man. Like you said it with Roy Keane. Like a lot of people don't want to go out on a rainy Monday night. It's
Right.
cold and put in the work. They'll go out though when it's sunny. It's a nice
Right.
day, good
And the
weather, and
crowd
they'll
and the
put it
crowd's
in.
there. And the crowd's there.
Exactly, exactly. But as what I live by, man, is like integrity is shown when no one's watching.
Yeah,
You
for
know,
sure.
even though I love broadcasting a lot of social media stuff on social media, most of the stuff I do, I don't show.
Right.
And I think that's a lot. That's a lot with with people.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you said it. Yo, I want to answer this question though. When or at what age do you start taking seriously? You start taking it seriously yesterday. Like
Yeah.
you should have taken it I mean, the best.
If
I
you don't take
mean,
it seriously, start taking it seriously now.
right. I mean, I forgot who it was, but they said the best time to plant a tree was 100 years ago. The second best time is now.
Exactly.
So, so make sure if you're not taking it seriously, make sure you're taking it seriously now. And by serious, I mean like make sure you're like just take your life seriously. I don't really understand that question. Like, why are you doing something if you're not taking it seriously? I
Hmm.
don't
Hmm.
I don't put lotion on unless I take it seriously. Like,
Exactly.
if you're not gonna put it on everywhere, don't put it on or
For
whatever.
sure.
Like, if you're not gonna like whatever you do, do it seriously because it's your why. Like, why am I cooking this meal? Oh, so that
Hmm.
I can have a healthy meal that I can eat. Like, it's just simple.
Hmm.
So have a why for what you do, anything you do. Like,
There's a comment, I forgot who said this, but it's something I love as well. The way you do everything is the way you do anything. Like um, whether you're doing the dishes or like trying to improve in one aspect of your game.
yeah,
It's like you might think of it as stupid, but it's that effort. It's that mentality.
yeah,
Just being able to be dialed in at monotonous times when you're bored
yeah,
and
yeah,
you don't enjoy something is huge.
yeah. That's what I mean. I'm working at that, bro. That's one of my biggest things is like,
For sure.
bro. One of my biggest things is I'll wash the dishes and I'll leave like one dish left, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
oh, it's one dish, it's all good. And then I look at my life and I look at some of the things that I've done and like started and went hard at for 2 weeks and then stopped. Bro, it's that quote is too true, and
For sure.
I've tried to dispute that, but it's so true. The way you do one thing is the way you do everything. And
For sure.
I mean, what you put in, what you get out.
Exactly. For sure, brother.
What age is it over to go pro? Uh 58. 58. But no, like we were
There's
just
no,
talking
like we
about.
said, with the quantity of, like, just sorry to interrupt, but man, like we said, there is no certain amount of hours that you have to put in to get to where you want to get to. Like, you never know. That's the beauty of it, like,
Yeah.
you never know, so you have to be prepared.
Here's the thing. So obviously Rick he has too many DMs, guys. feel free to jump in my DMs. I answer all these questions all the time with candid responses. But what other things would you recommend to do to help gain more confidence? We told you. We told you. Like
Yeah, just
what
go
what
back, man.
what other things would you recommend? No other things. We said everything.
Nothing. There's no. Wait, how about that pill? Why don't you send them that pill?
Bro, I mean some cream or something like I don't know, bro. Um, does hard training always pay off, bro? I I I listened to something the other day, Inky Johnson, I think it was, and he was like, people want to have a they want to have gold at the end of the rainbow. That's
Hmm.
that's the only reason they get started. They want to have something at the end of it. We always talk about like I said at the beginning, like why do you want to be a millionaire by 30 or whatever? It's like, what
Bro,
if
it
you
says we
never
got 152 remaining, by the way.
Okay, real quick, I got this. What like you want to have some promise at the end of all this. You want to have some promise that, hey, you promise if I work hard, then I'm going to get this.
Hmm.
It's what you receive while you work hard. It's that understanding that I can get through anything. I can work hard. I can put in this amount of work that I didn't know I could put in. You take that, you can literally translate that anything into from anything into your life. Like whether you go into business, whether you become a doctor, whether you become a painter, whatever, you will have that foundation that you built from working hard. So it's not about the goal. It's not about the becoming pro. It's about developing that work ethic. And maybe you become pro. But at the end of all that, you will have a work ethic that is unmatched. That you will have
Exactly.
that you are a better person now than you were last year.
And also, we got 1 minute left. I want to touch that
Yeah.
quick. Like the insights and the things you learn along the way are the most important things. Like actually loving the process is huge because, for example, we're in quarantine right now. We're in Corona.
Right.
If Muli and I weren't on a pro journey right now, I don't think that we would be where we're at.
Right.
From a personal level, from a business level, from
Right.
all levels. Because for me, it's like, all right, man, like it is survival of the fittest. Like if
Right.
you don't realize the people who are doing well right now are the people who have built strong minds. They didn't just
Right.
build
Right.
strong minds during this
Right.
quarantine.
Right.
It's been a long time coming, and now's the
Yeah.
time to kind of shine.
For sure. For sure.
But dude, 12 seconds, it's been fantastic.